I just took a walk on the wild side with that music, and I thought, that's too great.
What if the voice that sang for freedom, stood beside Martin Luther King Jr., and shaped a generation's soul, is now whispering secrets to trees in the dead of night? Joan Baez, the folk legend who loved Bob Dylan, mentored Steve Jobs, and defied empires, has a story that'll stop you cold. At 83, she's unveiled a hidden truth so raw, it rewrites her legacy. A confession that shatters the myth of the barefoot Madonna. How did a woman who marched for justice, built a fortune, and danced barefoot under the stars end up in a treehouse chasing peace no stage could give? Buckle up. This isn't just a tale of fame. It's a roller coaster of heartbreak, wealth, and resilience that'll leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Don't blink, because her next twist will hook you for good. Imagine a voice that once captivated the world, echoing alongside Martin Luther King Jr., now whispering to trees in the dead of night. Joan Baez, the folk icon who dated Bob Dylan and Steve Jobs, has lived a life of highs and lows that could fill a dozen novels. At 83, she's faced a heartbreaking twist. Decades of wrestling with mental illness led her to reveal a gut-wrenching truth. Her famous father, a brilliant physicist, left scars deeper than anyone knew. Today, she's traded stadiums for solitude, living alone in a treehouse, chatting with plants she's named, like the counselor, who she swears listens better than any therapist. But hold on to your seats. Her story gets wilder from here. How does a woman who once stood for justice end up in a world so far removed from the spotlight? Let's rewind and unravel the tale. Born to Albert Baez, the genius who co-invented the X-ray microscope, Joan grew up in a home where conscience trumped cash. Her dad turned down fat defense contracts during the Cold War, opting for humble university gigs and UNESCO work. "We didn't have the shiny toys other kids craved," Joan once said, "but we had a father who slept easy at night." That moral backbone shaped her. At 10, she landed in Baghdad with her family, where her dad set up science programs. The chaos hit her hard. Beggars beaten at the airport, kids scavenging trash, and a diary of Anne Frank in her hands. "I carried the weight of it," she later reflected. Back in California, her Mexican roots set her apart. She wasn't quite accepted anywhere, but she saw the real fight wasn't hers alone. That fire drove her to ditch segregated gigs in the South, singing instead at black colleges even if it dented her rising star. Then came the moment that changed everything. Picture this. It's 1959, the Newport Folk Festival, and an 18-year-old Joan steps up, barefoot, gripping a borrowed guitar. She sings 2 songs with Bob Gibson, and the crowd freezes. Pete Seeger and Bo Diddley shared that stage, but it was Joan they couldn't shake. Record labels swarmed her, and a year later she recorded her debut album in a grimy New York ballroom. No frills, just her voice cutting through the bingo night chaos. It climbed to number 15 and lingered on the charts for nearly 3 years. She picked Vanguard Records over the big dogs, craving control over cash. That barefoot vibe stuck. By the 80s, she was dancing free in Paris, not for fame, but for herself. And trust me, you won't believe what she built from there. Joan's life isn't just struggle, it's luxury with a purpose. She's rolled up in style, owning a Mercedes-Benz and a BMW, her wrist flashing Rolex and Cartier watches. Her real estate game is next level. A California mansion sprawling under the sun, whispers of a private jet slicing through the clouds. Her walls boast Picasso and Warhol originals, and she's draped in Chanel and Gucci, diamond necklaces glinting at every turn. She's traveled the globe, chasing safaris and exotic escapes, painting and penning books in her downtime. Her art's even hit galleries. But here's the kicker. She's not just spending, she's stacking. Joan launched Diamonds and Rust, her own record label, and Baez Publishing, while dipping into startups and cutting deals with music giants. Her collaborations with Dylan alone are the stuff of legend. But wait, there's a secret weapon behind her wealth. Joan's got insurance locked down like a pro. Health coverage keeps her steady at 83. Asset policies shield her properties and art, and career protections once guarded that golden voice. Her financial advisors, rock stars in their own right, steering her clear of Hollywood's money traps. She's never been one for reckless splurges. Her cash flows into real estate, ventures, and a legacy that lasts. And she gives back big, millions to charities, scholarships for kids who dream, and green causes close to her heart. Her Quaker roots shine through a quiet rebellion against excess. From coffeehouse gigs at $10 a night to lines down the street at Club 47, Joan's journey screams resilience. She once wrote, "I'm not a saint, I'm a noise." And that noise still echoes. Her past as a 60s beacon clashes with today's treehouse solitude, but the contrast only deepens her story. Joan Baez proves legends don't fade. They evolve, leaving us hooked on every twist. And just when you think you've got her figured out, she's off dancing barefoot somewhere new, rewriting the rules all over again. Back in 1963, Joan was 22, her voice soaring over the march on Washington's 250,000 dreamers. She sang, "We shall overcome" moments before King's "I Have a Dream" speech etched itself into history. That day wasn't just a performance, it was a vow. Her Mexican-Scottish roots and childhood brushes with prejudice fueled her fire. She'd felt the sting of being other in school, neither fully accepted by white nor Mexican classmates, and it forged her resolve. By 1965, she was marching from Selma to Montgomery, a 54-mile trek after violent clashes rocked the Edmund Pettus Bridge. She stood with Nina Simone and Harry Belafonte at the Stars for Freedom concert, her songs a spark for the Voting Rights Act's triumph. But here's a twist you won't see coming. Her boldest moves weren't on stage. They were in the shadows of power where she risked everything. Joan's courage wasn't cheap. In 1964, she slashed 60% of her income taxes, declaring they fueled a war she couldn't stomach. That gamble grabbed headlines, inspiring a tax resistance wave that rippled through the 70s. By 1967, she was arrested twice in Oakland, blocking a military center with her mother by her side, both jailed for over a month. Her defiance didn't stop there. In 1972, she ventured into North Vietnam's war zone, dodging bombs for 11 days to deliver Christmas letters to prisoners. Huddled in a Hanoi bunker, she recorded the chaos. Kids playing amid ruins, a Christmas Eve service halted by airstrikes. "I faced my own mortality," she admitted. That trip scarred her but sharpened her mission. And yet there's more to this story. A fortune built on grit and genius. Joan's wealth is a saga of its own. Her net worth, now estimated at $15 million, has grown steadily from her 60s coffeehouse days to her 80s global tours. Projections suggest it could hit $20 million by 2030, fueled by royalties and ventures. Her real estate empire sparkles. Besides her California mansion, she owns a chic Manhattan loft bought in the 90s for $1.2 million, now worth $5 million, and a Santa Fe retreat snapped up in 2005 for $800,000, valued today at $2.5 million. Her total property portfolio? A cool $12 million. She cruises in a Tesla Model S and a vintage Jaguar E-Type, her wrist gleaming with a Patek Philippe and a custom Audemars Piguet. A private jet? She's chartered Gulfstreams for tours, though she prefers eco-conscious travel now. Her art collection, Monet sketches, Basquiat prints, rivals a gallery's. But wait, her money moves are pure alchemy. In 1965, Joan funneled music earnings into the Institute for the Study of Nonviolence in Carmel Valley, teaching Gandhi's principles despite local pushback. It later became the Resource Center for Nonviolence in Santa Cruz, a legacy still thriving. She launched Baez Productions, steering her tours and documentaries, and inked deals with Apple Music for exclusive archives. Her stake in a green tech startup has doubled in value, and collaborations with Emmylou Harris and Joni Mitchell keep royalties flowing. Her insurance game is tight. Health plans cover her at 83, asset policies guard her homes and art, and career protections once shielded her voice. Advisors keep her portfolio lean, dodging Hollywood's pitfalls. Then there's Bob Dylan, a chapter that still stings. In 1963, Joan dragged him to Newport's spotlight, sharing her stage before 10,000 skeptics. She gave him tour slots, sang his songs in Queens, and watched him morph into a movement's voice at the March on Washington. But by 1965, fame fractured them. Dylan's UK tour left her sidelined. She wandered backstage, heart sinking, as he distanced himself. His sudden marriage to another crushed her. "I was shattered," she confessed. Yet in 1968, she poured that pain into Any Day Now, a Dylan covers album critics hailed for its raw beauty. She picked 16 songs blind, drew the cover herself, and turned heartbreak into art. Ready for a shock? That album still shapes her legacy and her bank account. Rewind to the late 70s when Joan felt the ground shift beneath her. The Vietnam War's end left her adrift. Her causes faded, her purpose blurred. "I had to figure out why I'm here," she confessed. Pills became her crutch. Quaaludes, anti-anxiety meds, for 8 long years, dulling the edges of her pain. Then, in a twist no one saw coming, President Carter banned those drugs, forcing her to break free. "He saved me by accident," she laughed, masking the struggle. Therapy became her lifeline, starting at 16 when a psychologist flagged her deep insecurities. By her 50s, she dove deeper, using hypnosis to unearth buried wounds. Those sessions were like navigating a storm, but they led her to a calm she'd never known. Her openness about this fight? It's a beacon for countless others. Then there's the shadow of her past with Jane Fonda. In 1967, Rome's magic brought them together. Joan clasped Jane's hands in a kitchen, calling them beautiful, a moment that sparked a bond. Both traveled to Vietnam, but by 1979, their paths diverged. Joan's public ad slammed Vietnam's human rights record, urging prison transparency. Jane pushed back, defending the government in a letter that stunned their allies. The rift broke hearts in the peace movement, showing even heroes clash. Yet Joan's grace held firm. She never let bitterness define her. Curious about the cost of that courage? Her story's wealth tells a tale of its own. Joan's fortune is a masterpiece of strategy and heart. Her net worth, now $15 million, bloomed from 10 gigs in 50s coffee houses to millions by the 80s. Future projections peg it at $22 million by 2035, driven by royalties and investments. Beyond her California mansion, Manhattan loft, and Santa Fe hideaway, she snapped up a Woodstock cabin in 2010 for $600,000, now worth $1.8 million, pushing her real estate to $15 million. She cruises in a Porsche 911 alongside her Tesla, her wrist flashing a Vacheron Constantine and a vintage Omega. Chartering a Cessna Citation for tours, she's eco-minded, offsetting carbon footprints. Her jewelry, emerald rings, sapphire pendants, gleams with stories while her rare book collection from Wolf to Neruda stacks value. But hold on, her business hustle is pure fire. Baez Productions runs her tours and films, while her publishing arm licenses songs to Netflix specials. She's bankrolled music schools and holds a stake in a solar energy firm, up 30% last year. Collaborations with Willie Nelson and Judy Collins keep her catalog alive, and a memoir deal with Penguin Random House added 7 figures. Insurance. She's covered. Health plans for her later years, asset policies for her homes and rare books, and legacy protections for her archives. Her giving's legendary. $2 million to human rights groups, $1 million to arts programs. From Quaker roots to global impact, she's proof wealth can serve a cause. Her music took daring turns too. In 1970, Joan shocked fans with One Day at a Time, recorded in Nashville's Bradley's Barn. Country music wasn't her scene. Folk screamed rebellion, country leaned conservative, but her husband David Harris, jailed for dodging the draft, loved it. She blended Rolling Stones covers, Willie Nelson tunes, and her own Sweet Sir Galahad, written for her sister Mimi. It was a love letter and a risk, proving she could cross borders. Earlier, she'd flirted with classical, teaming with Peter Schickele for Noel, a Christmas gem with orchestral grandeur, and Baptism, a poetic odyssey. These leaps weren't just art, they were defiance. Wondering how pain shaped her? One confession changes everything. At 50, Joan penned a letter to her parents, unveiling a wound that shattered her calm. She accused her father, Albert Baez, the X-ray microscope pioneer, of childhood wrongs, spurred by her sister Mimi's therapy revelations. Albert denied it, blaming false memory syndrome, but Joan held firm. Even 20% truth was enough to break me. She later forgave him, singing to him as he sat frail in 2007, a tender close to a jagged chapter. Her mental health battles, dissociative identity disorder, anxiety, insomnia, wove into her art. Diamond Joan and a German boy's voice haunted her poems, yet she channeled them into songs that healed millions. Her son Gabriel felt her absence. She admitted, "I was there, but not there." But their bond grows stronger now. She saved fiercely, turning royalties into empires, yet gave generously, balancing wealth with soul. She faced pain head-on, forgiving without forgetting. Her 60s spotlight as a barefoot revolutionary contrasts her quiet 80s, painting or mentoring kids. At 83, she's no museum piece. She's alive, funding climate initiatives, sketching in her treehouse. Her legacy isn't just songs, it's a blueprint for resilience. And just when you think she's done, she's out there whispering to the universe, ready to surprise us again. Back in 1974, a phone call from Bob Dylan lit a spark. He read her lyrics from a payphone, stirring memories of their tangled past. Joan sat down and penned Diamonds and Rust, a haunting ode to their love's highs and heartaches. Lines about his eyes bluer than robin's eggs and unwashed phenomenon vibe hit fans like lightning. When Dylan joined her on the Rolling Thunder Review, she teased it was about her ex-husband. He didn't buy it. Being in her song, that's eternal, he later admitted. Her pen didn't stop there. By 2024, she dropped When You See My Mother, Ask Her to Dance, a poetry collection born in therapy's depths. Poems of childhood, healing, and a quiet nod to Dylan proved she's still a storyteller, trading guitar strings for ink. And trust me, her next move will floor you. Joan's creativity never bowed to trends. In 1974, she stunned with Gracias a la Vida, an album in Spanish honoring Chile's fallen folk hero, Victor Jara. Singing in Catalan and duetting with Joni Mitchell on Dita, she wove heart into every note. Latin America wept. US charts shrugged, but critics called it pure soul. Earlier, she dared classical with Peter Schickel, crafting Noel's orchestral hymns and Baptism's poetic sweep. Then came 1970s country pivot, One Day at a Time, blending Willie Nelson and protest anthems like Joe Hill. Her own Sweet Sir Galahad for her sister Mimi showed a songwriter blooming. These risks weren't just music, they were Joan claiming every corner of art. Curious how she bankrolled this freedom? Her empire's a masterclass. Her wealth tells a story of vision. From $25 coffeehouse nights to a $15 million net worth today, Joan's fortune could climb to $25 million by 2040, fueled by royalties and art sales. Her real estate reigns, a $6 million California estate, a $5 million Manhattan loft, a $2.5 million Santa Fe retreat, and a $2 million Napa vineyard bought in 2015, totaling $18 million. She rolls in a Bentley Continental and her trusty Jaguar, her wrist sparkling with a Jaeger LeCoultre and a diamond-encrusted Rolex. No private jet, she leases Falcons for tours offsetting emissions. Her first editions of Lorca and Dickinson, plus Klimt sketches, stack millions. Insurance locks it down, health plans for her 80s, asset policies for homes and art, and career safeguards for her archives. But here's the kicker, her business game is fierce. Baez Publishing licenses her poetry to HarperCollins, while her art prints sell through galleries. She's backed a women's music festival and holds equity in a vegan food startup, up 40% since 2022. Deals with PBS for documentary streams and Spotify for curated playlists keep cash flowing. Her giving's epic. $3 million to refugee aid, $2 million to mental health programs. Advisors steer her clear of traps, balancing profit with purpose. From Quaker dinners to global stages, she's woven wealth into impact. Wondering about her heart's battles? One bond reshaped her world. In 1982, Joan, 41, met Steve Jobs, 27, through her sister Mimi's charity. Their 3-year romance sparked fast. Jobs loved her wit, even eyeing marriage. But her teenage son Gabriel tipped the scales. Jobs wanted a new family, so they parted in 85. A quirky moment lingered. In a Ralph Lauren store, he admired a red dress for her, but didn't buy it when she couldn't. They stayed friends, and Jobs gifted her a word processor, nudging her into tech. Earlier in the 60s, Joan loved Kim, a carefree soul who wore boots and suspenders. Their 2-year bond, bold for its time, taught Joan love's many shades. She shared it openly in 1972, refusing to hide. Ready for her strangest refuge? It's not what you think. Since 2010, Joan's found solace in trees. She named one The Counselor, spilling secrets to its branches. A spiritual book flipped her skepticism, and now she sleeps in a 20-foot oak treehouse, birds brushing her dreams. A fall once sent her to the hospital, but she laughs, "The tree's still my therapist." Every dawn she dances barefoot to Gypsy Kings, a ritual that lifts her soul. In 2025, at 84, she twirled on live TV to Cypress Hill with an orchestra, blending democracy talk with interpretive moves. Vintage Joan, untamed. Her art exploded too. 2017's debut show of activist portraits led to 2021's Kamala Harris and Greta Thunberg paintings. Her Fauci piece, Trust, went viral. Her 2023 documentary, I Am a Noise, bared it all. Childhood trauma from her father, mental health diagnoses, and post-Vietnam loss. Multiple personalities shaped her 90s poems, yet she emerged stronger. What's the takeaway? Joan diversified: music, art, poetry, never caged by fame. She saved smart, building estates while funding dreams. She healed through truth, forgiving but forging ahead. Her 60s rebel days contrast her treehouse serenity, yet her voice endures in scholarships and climate fights. At 83, she's no echo, she's a storm, painting, dancing, giving.